What's up, guys? Just a quick warning. There is some explicit language in the following video. Thank you for watching, and I hope you guys enjoy. What is up, guys? Matt, the owner of Tales Channel here, bringing you another episode of Sonic Chats with my good friend, StephenKnux.
Hello everyone, it is I, StephenKnux, and thanks for watching part 2 of Sonic Chats.
Yeah, last episode we went on for an hour about like Sonic at E3 and Sonic Boom especially. That was a long one.
Pretty much a huge retrospective of modern Sonic.
But yeah, today we're going to be talking about another big topic. You know, we got Sonic at E3, but another big announcement was the Sonic the Hedgehog movie that's going to be coming out by Sony. And with us today, we have some people from the TrueSonicSpirit channel. So go ahead and please introduce yourself.
You want to go first?
You want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Okay. Hey, this is Rec from the TrueSonicSpirit channel, and this is my actual voice. Nice to meet you. I'm RecorderDude, Tom, whatever the heck you want to call me. I did the Sonic Heroes musicals for Sonic Paradox, and I'm part of TrueSonicSpirit too.
Alright, sup guys, it's Knux333 here. I run a small channel on my own, and I do some voiceovers on the TrueSonicSpirit channel.
Alright, welcome guys, and yeah, should be great to hear your guys' opinions since, you know, TrueSonicSpirit is all about, you know, bringing that Sonic spirit back, and it's your opinions and your speculations on what the Sonic series should be. So it should be interesting to, you know, hear your side of things.
I like to think so.
Oh yeah, that's the reason why we're here. We're just trying to get our ideas out here, you know, the best way we can. But, you know, we'll see how it goes, man. So,
exactly. So,
to quote the famous art house piece, A Goofy Movie, we're gonna stand out till you notice us.
yeah.
There it is.
I love that movie.
There we go.
But anyways, we all know the Sonic movie coming out by Sony. There hasn't been really too much information about it, except for the fact that, number one, they're aiming for a PG-13 rating. Number two, it's going to have a mix of serious and comedy. And number three, that it's going to have, you know, the basic Sonic characters. Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Eggman. And that's pretty much all we know at this moment. We haven't had a trailer. We haven't had really too much said about it. And yeah, also, I almost forgot, we know it's going to be live action with CGI. So Sonic's going to be CGI, but he's going to be in a live action world, basically.
Where have we seen this before?
Yeah, we've seen it many times. Smurfs movie.
Alvin the Chipmunks.
Yeah.
The Sonic Spec
It's
film,
everywhere.
which, yeah, that took it a little too far.
Oh, yeah.
You know what would be great in our Sonic movie? Nintendo celebrities!
How about no?
Man, you know, I love the angry video game nerd. I love the nostalgia critic, and I love all those people.
You can tell they were forced.
But I don't know. I think, yeah, that movie was a little bit. I like Eddie LeBron. He's a cool guy. He's a friend of mine. I thought the movie was alright. I mean, I didn't think it was like the best thing ever, but I didn't think it was like the worst thing ever. I just thought it was.
My thing is, what can you do with those resources? They did the best they could.
Honestly, I do think his Mega Man fan film turned out way better. So if you're sort of on the rocks about the Sonic one, definitely check out Eddie LeBron's Mega Man fan film. That was pretty good.
That Mega Man fan film was great.
Yeah,
and it was like an hour, and it was really good. So go ahead and check that out. But we're talking about Sonic here. So, I mean, a lot of movies have gone down this route where they have like live action or just cartoon characters in general just appearing in the real world with humans. You know, like Steven said, Alvin and the Chipmunks. What was that other one? The Smurfs movie.
Yogi Bear. A lot of movies do it. I mean, it's super common.
It's super common, but we can also say with the Sonic series, where have we seen this before? Sonic Adventure, Sonic 06, Sonic Unleashed, plenty of titles have Sonic running around with people that are either...
I think the problem lies with that. The problem with that is people like the animated human characters better. That's the thing. In Sonic Unleashed, they looked all cartoonish. People like that approach. And I like it too. It looks Pixar. I like the way it looks. I think Sonic belongs in that kind of world. I just can't see him in a realistic
I sort of
world.
saw this imbalance with it because part of the reason that, you know, the games with Sonic around realistic people were so interesting is because you have this huge contrast. You have this unspoken comedy that you've got this cartoon hedgehog running around with the world of real people, but at the same time, he's taking everything completely seriously, and so are they. And you've got things like them not understanding the difference between Sonic and Shadow and SA2, and you've got Sonic having relationships with a human princess, and it's never even brought up in game. So It kind of
Because in the past, to be fair, Sonic has had a terrible relationship with humans. Like, most people are very objective to when Sonic is next to humans. It's like, oh my god, human characters are the worst. And then you remember characters like Maria or Dr. Eggman.
I mean, yeah, I totally get what you're saying, but I mean, I like the cartoon approach. I mean, I don't know. Sonic Adventure versus Sonic Unleashed to me, with the humans, let's say. I don't know, I always thought the humans in Sonic Adventure seemed a little too, like, I don't know.
I mean, they just weren't really there.
Fitting in.
Yeah, they weren't there. They were sort of supposed to be side characters. Since it was supposed to be an RPG, they were made to be NPCs that you just walk around and talk to burn some time or something like that.
Sonic Adventure was really smart in that it knew it was bringing Sonic into 3D. Let's not force the humans down our throats like they do in Sonic X. They're there if you want to talk to them. They have interesting stories if you want to talk to them.
Yeah, but it's centered around the main character.
Centered around Sonic and the crew.
Yeah, yes. I don't think the humans just fit with the, models of the, characters.
No, they fit
like
good
Sonic.
Enough. They were like anime looking, and the Station Square setting. You can't imagine like little furry animals running around.
It would be like, when you think a bunch of little furry animals like you'd see in the classic games or all the animals you see in Sonic Lost World that you figure the robots from, you'd think, welcome to Friendly Animal Forest. We whistle out our asses and have fun all day. Not a bustling city.
Yeah.
I mean, could you imagine animals taking trains, driving cars around stations?
I mean, yeah, see, that's the part where Sonic tries to sometimes Sonic and his friends are like outside of society, like Sonic X tried to make it, but sometimes like in an adventure, they are a part of society, like how casually everyone accepts Sonic in the adventure games, but in X, in some games, they are outcasts.
Yeah.
Basically.
No one cared for the humans in Sonic Adventure. They were there if you wanted to talk to them. They weren't a huge focus of Sonic Adventure, so no one really remembers Adventure as the human game of the series.
Yeah, and then in Sonic X, one of the main characters was a human, Chris Thorndyke. So it had to be centered around humans.
This is a theory I don't hear brought up a lot like that. I will admit, completely unashamedly, as a kid, Chris Thorndyke was my favorite character in Sonic X. Because I am serious. Yes. I'll explain why. Because Chris Thorndyke, I see, is the same kind of self-insert that Bella is in Twilight. Not sexual. Dear God, not sexual. But this is this kid who's lonely, he doesn't have many friends, and the friends he does have, they don't do much. But suddenly, all these cool, Sonic's there, all his friends are there. He's having these crazy adventures and making all these memories, and you wanted to be that kid. That's why Chris was in there. To sort of be like a surrogate for the kids watching at home saying, oh my god, there I am, I'm Chris Thorndyke, I'm with Sonic.
Yeah, that's how
I can kind of see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
It's a different approach. I've never heard that opinion before. It's kind of interesting. So.
I felt like he was just there, to be honest.
Well, I mean, there's sometimes, like, in Season 3, I think he was more just, like, one of the supporting characters. He didn't matter too incredibly. Season 1 episodes like, Sonic, I want your ass so bad you're staying in my world! And Sonic's like, okay! And then there's all those episodes, and Sonic cries, and you cry, and everyone cries.
Okay, for my take on humans in Sonic's world, we gotta remember, in Sonic 1, if you look at Starlight Zone or Spring Yard, there were cities in the back. You always felt like there were humans living
in most of the
world.
games, there were always, like, cities and stuff like that.
Yeah, you always felt like Sonic wasn't there were other species in Sonic World, like humans were operating these things. And in fact, Eggman's a human. There are obviously humans in the Sonic world.
I mean, that's what I tried to point out, because, like...
It's the movie with live action. I think that's gonna be really weird. Because I can't imagine Sonic in like a super real environment. Even with like Sonic Unleashed graphics, that looks really real, but it's still Pixar looking.
Well, exactly.
I want Sonic in that universe.
Because the way I picture it is, you think of like movies like, I don't know, like in CGI movies like The Smurfs, like Alvin and the Chipmunks. It depends on how the characters blend in, and if you blend it in like those movies, it just looks very unnatural.
Yeah, I'll say right now, there are more ways that they could fuck this up and do it right, but there are ways they could do it right. I'd say one really important thing, if they're going to do Sonic in a live-action movie, they shouldn't make him overly shiny and bright and cartoony. They should make him slightly more realistic, just so he looks like an actual creature of the Earth.
I mean, yeah, like, try and form him with the world in a way. Don't just make him like a fan animation where it's a live action fan animation and Sonic will look like he got ripped right out the game.
Like, I mean,
and he's just
It's
standing
just
there.
the more I hear about this movie, the more I think the plot's going to be like Sonic and his friends somehow follow Eggman into the real world. They meet a human that's surprised that they're talking animals, and then they become friends over time, and they defeat Eggman and go
So
back to
Sonic X.
Yeah, like, you know,
kinda
like the
that.
Smurfs.
Like the Smurfs.
It's like every
that's
live
the easy
action
plot.
cartoon movie where like
Yes.
they end up in freaking New York or some. It's always New York. It's always New York.
The only argument I have against that is that it's going to be PG-13. The rest are always PG. So I'm not sure if violence is going to be the case, or language. I'm not too sure what the PG-13 is going to add on. But I'm not expecting like a video game plot, to be honest. I'm just expecting the plot I predicted.
I'm expecting maybe a few references to the games if the writer Van Robichaud actually gets to have his way with it. Otherwise, I'm expecting, pretty basic Hollywood plot. At the same time, I mean, I'm not completely dismissing it as, this is going to be the Smurfs 2, the movie nobody loved, just because it's got that set up, but there is a chance, this will be the Smurfs 2, nobody loves it. I won't deny that.
See, one argument I have to give going back to the rating is, if you really think about it, I guess the reason for the rating would mainly be the action, because when you think about it, to really look at how Sonic would work, I mean, language and all that other stuff, that hasn't been a thing with Sonic, really. The best you can think of is the action, which, if you go back to, like, the darker Sonic games, then they would kind of almost hit those T ratings, kind of mainly Shadow and 06 and stuff like that. And I think the idea is that they want to focus on the action, because that's the closest you can do with a Sonic live action movie. Like, maybe not like go 100% Michael Bay, but even if people don't like Michael Bay, I mean, I guess that's the best way to pull in those society people.
I think this is going to be a comedy, like I said. Otherwise, what's the reason of putting Sonic in live action? If you want to make a legit serious story with it, why not keep it all
because
animated?
Because very few people go to theaters to see animated movies that aren't Disney. Look at the sales for like The Book of Life or and pretty much any art house film. If you're not
I can't see that.
And look at the sales for the Smurfs and Alvin and the Chipmunks, honestly.
Pretty much.
That's why,
especially Smurfs too.
That's why, again, like, actually, one thing I'd like to bring in comparison about the rating here, the original, now I know these aren't CG, these are puppets, but the 1980s Ninja Turtles movies, the first one was a lot more intense, it had a lot more action, and most of that was because they weren't being told what to do by a studio, how to specifically keep a rating, and that was probably the better film for it. With the second one, you had everything noticeably toned down, the Turtles being a lot safer, you'd have a lot more slapstick gags that wouldn't be out of place in Tom and Jerry, and I think the studio knows that that would not fly for Sonic. Because Sonic's, I mean, even in the kiddiest games, Sonic still attacks stuff. Sonic still grinded into stuff with his spiky ball of hatred for whatever he's destroying.
That's the best way to put it.
Great name.
So I think there will definitely still be action in the movie as PG-13. I mean, unless it's going to be like an hour and a half of Mike Pollock adult stand-up comedy. That's the only way I can see a PG-13 Sonic movie being a comedy.
I mean, like, I don't know how a PG-13 comedy Sonic movie would work. That's the thing I'm trying to think of. The only thing I could see if that's the case is it would be language or something. I mean, it'd have to be the action. I mean, you can't. There's no way you can put the PG-13 rating if it was gonna be a comedy.
Yeah, I mean, the only
there are ways. It's
let me put it this way: if you're gonna do a comedy, it's gonna be mature. You're either going to barely do it at all, or go all the way and be like Ted. So there's very little middle ground.
I mean, I don't think they would pull like maybe a Sonic Lost World or a Sonic Color Story, because I don't know, what Sonic fans remember, even if you don't play the newer games, the Sonic fans remember, like, every person I go up to, I ask, what's your favorite Sonic game? The one with that other hedgehog in it. You know?
Yeah, Shadow. SA2.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much SA2.
It's the one everyone remembers.
I mean, it's one of the most critically acclaimed Sonic games. You know, it may have its flaws, but it's one of the most critically acclaimed games for a reason, because of the time period it came out, you know, the time where it's it's that thing I can't explain.
To me, I think it's the fact
it was a strong sequel.
I think it's not just the fact that it's
it expanded.
I think it's not just the fact that it's a strong sequel, but because years later, looking back and even looking then, you can see how much passion was behind the people who were making it. I mean, you had Sonic Team living in San Francisco working on this game, and every time they'd ride to work, they'd get cut off by this trolley, and they would hate this trolley so much that they specifically designed the trolley in the first level of City Escape so you will destroy it every time. That kind of little revenge, that ridiculous thing that you don't get immediately but really sticks with you. That's what I feel is really missing from more recent games, and that's why SA2 stayed the most memorable, because both the team developing it and the game as a result made memories.
I mean, yeah, it's one game that fans will always remember. Like, you obviously remember the classic games, and then you remember maybe Adventure and Adventure 2, but I don't see people like saying, "Oh, Sonic Lost World, I know that game."
That's one thing I've always said about the next Sonic game. People always ask, StephenKnux, what do you want for the next Sonic game? I want a game I'll remember. That's all I want. I'm not gonna look 10 years from now.
That's the problem. Like, you have those Sonic games that are just there, that just don't get remembered. Like, I'm thinking like Heroes, or just games that people just can't recall.
And honestly speaking, I'm gonna say this right now, I might be proven wrong, but in 10 years or so, nobody, unless it is literally the game that means there will be no more games in the series, and Runner's already disproved that, Sonic Boom is probably gonna be forgotten, because it was the most bland, middle, average Sonic game probably ever made. At least Rise of Lyric. No.
It's not gonna be forgotten.
The TV show. I don't think the TV show will be, because it's the first 3D TV show.
The TV shows, even Underground hasn't been forgotten. So no, I don't think it'll be forgotten anytime soon.
The thing is, though, I mean, people now classify, Sonic Boom, like critics, let's say. Critics now classify Sonic Boom with Sonic 06, you know what I'm saying? They're
pretty
like,
much, at this point.
That Sonic 06 game? No, they're not going to stop talking about it. They're going to be like, oh, remember Sonic 06 and Sonic Boom? So we won't forget it, because, they'll remind us, and people will remind us. I mean, people will never be over Sonic Boom. Sonic Boom had terrible reception, and you know what happens to Sonic games with terrible reception? They get,
vanished
over and over and
shadow
over
roamed.
It's funny enough, because the worst Sonic games are actually the most remembered.
Exactly.
Sonic 06 is
everyone knows
on
Sonic
all
06.
these top 10 lists.
I mean,
worst games all.
Of course, the apparent worst games aren't the most memorable, because like you have games like the classics. Because think of how many people can recall the classics. Like,
but who remembers Sonic 3 that you know? Nobody knows Sonic 3.
Which is sad. I'm sad.
I'm more talking about the fact
they
that,
don't even port
like,
the game.
with a lot of the universally terrible remembered like Sonic games, like Sonic 06, perhaps a game. Sonic 06 can be remembered forever. No, there's no doubt in that. It is the first game that really said Sonic's on a decline to most people, because it was
pretty
rushed.
much.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna say that the game is good in any way, but
my thing is the top 3 most popular / remembered games I think are Sonic 2, Sonic Adventure 2, and Sonic 06. Those 3 are the ones everyone knows, like anyone.
That's pretty much basically it.
I can't even find the argument against
what
that.
I'm trying to say here is it'll be remembered. At the same time, people are going to say, "Oh wow, it did all those crazy things. I wonder how bad it was," and they'll go and buy it and actually try it to see, because it's got that big of a reputation, and that's obviously happening.
Yeah, Sonic 06 sold really good.
It sold really well. It hit multiple reward tiers, and it's still being sold used for $20, which is pretty.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But Sonic Boom, on the other hand, it didn't move a lot of copies, and that's not just because it's so bad. It's because it was both it's so bad and it's so boring.
But do you think, because, people could have the same thoughts for Sonic 06. I mean, people did have those thoughts. Could you think it's because now people can just watch it? They can watch the game
Maybe
and see
that's
if they
it.
like it
I
themselves?
frankly don't think
I don't
anyone
think it's
would.
the cinematics. It's the problem.
I think it's just what I've claimed a long time ago, is that Sonic is so irrelevant nowadays that no one even cares. Like, there's so many games to play. Why should I go out of the way?
I mean, they obviously cared when Rise of Lyric was bad.
Yeah, they cared when it was bad, because it gave them something
to say.
No one cares,
though. Like, no one... Only Sonic fans are going to go out and buy Sonic Boom, and maybe, kids. But, I don't know anyone that even knows about Sonic Boom.
Unless
they heard about it.
I don't know anyone who likes Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric. I don't know a single person.
No. I wouldn't like people. I may have a bias to Boom, but even from like any other standpoint, I've had like people who don't even know the series who have played 1 or 2 Sonic games that would jump into Boom. Like, it's not just a bad game as a Sonic game, it's a bad game overall.
Yeah, it's a game that will be seen as a black spot in the Sonic series, not just as a bad Sonic game, but a bad game, which...
And it's kind of disappointing too. I was hoping it was going to be like Shrek 2 if you guys ever played that game. Really fun game. It has like kind of a similar concept.
It actually was a good game.
Yeah, it's a fun game. Yeah, I was hoping it'd be like that, but no.
No, the thing is, if you look at the early stuff for Boom, it looks like it had a lot of potential.
Yeah, it does.
Like you saw that hub
that
world.
Really saddens
you saw
me.
the old character designs. I mean, I don't know. It's just something about what happened in the end which just pisses me off. Because, you know, I was a big supporter of this game. I thought it was going to be okay.
I remember that, because you...
Yeah, exactly.
You
I know,
really
I
pushed
defended
this game.
it. Exactly, I really did. And then when it came out at the end, and I was like, oh, okay, this game's crap. I mean, I threw it in the toilet.
Wow.
I mean,
there you go.
I remember that one.
Nah, but pretty much what I'm saying, Sonic 06 sold a ton because it was interestingly bad. Boom is kind of blandly bad, and I doubt anyone would sit through an entire playthrough of it on YouTube. Like, maybe watch the cutscenes at most. That's what I did. But
man, I don't know anyone that would be like during the time of 06, I don't know anyone that was like, I don't want to buy this game. Everyone I know wanted 06, even non-Sonic fans, because it was one of the early HD games.
I actually remember.
Wanted 06.
Yeah, I actually remember when 06 came out. I was, you know, I didn't have as much money, so, and this was when I was slightly younger, so I actually looked up the cutscenes to this game and watched them, and I'm just, and at first glance, I criticized 06. I thought the entire thing was bad because of that mentality that everything about the game was terrible. I'm like, why is Sonic saving a princess? What is he, Mario? It's like,
it's so easy to hate 06 because of the internet nowadays. Like, no one actually plays the game and sees if it's bad. They just kind of hear it's bad. So they're like, I'm not going to play this.
Yeah, when you compare the potential of Boom and 06, I think 06 definitely had a potential. Like, 06, look at Boom. Boom was trying to be its own thing, but 06 was basically trying to continue the adventure formula almost, which was kind of on dying anyways, because we had 2D games coming up like Rush and the Advanced series and stuff like that. And so 06 wanted to continue that, but unfortunately, because of the issues with it, it couldn't continue it.
And now I think Sonic Team's scared. They're scared to make another game like this because they believe that if they do have one of these serious stories or whatever, that it wouldn't work and people would treat it the same as Sonic 06. And I mean, look at the negative reception with Unleashed, even though, I mean, a lot of us can agree it was a pretty dang good game.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I think ultimately though, since obviously Boom's the worst selling Sonic game ever, and 06 sold a shit ton, just on the fact that way less people are going to ultimately buy copies of Boom, there's going to be, you know, less talk about it years down the line, because less people will have actually played it, and less people will have thought about it so much.
No, they're going to talk about it. They're always going to talk about it. They always talk about bad Sonic games. Have we not, okay, let's talk about Sonic 06 and Sonic Lost World. I mean, Sonic Lost World was pretty but it was it wasn't as critically destroyed as Sonic 06.
Yeah, because there are still people who like Lost World, Caban Armani, he actually defends Lost World. It's on his list of underrated Sonic games.
No, I saw that.
Yeah, so there are people who still like Lost World to a degree.
Lost World is the epitome of right down the middle.
Yeah, it's literally split down the middle. Now, to me personally, I can't say nothing because I sold Lost World for freaking Mario Kart 8, but so... yeah.
Just like that.
Ultimately, though, I think Boom, well, it's had a big impact on, holy shit, you know, Sonic is really gotten this bad, but it will be talked about more like an E.T., as in the effect of this game being crap, rather than how crap this game in particular was and exactly what it did to be crap. Because you think E.T., yeah, it's a bad game, but what do you think first? It caused the crash of 1983. Sonic Boom, it caused Sonic Team to actually stop and realize Sonic's doing really bad. We need to do something way better than this. Because if you look at it, Sonic 06, after Sonic 06, even as bad as it did, it sold well, and Sega were still pushing forward with a lot of Sonic games that were at least doing halfway decent, despite that.
They were, but a lot of people would claim that Unleashed was going to be the last Sonic game at one point. I don't know how true that is, but people were saying that Sonic was dead.
Which some of those theories make sense, because when you think about it, like after Unleashed, you have Colors. Now everyone loves to point out that big split between the up until Unleashed and then Colors. Like we are known for doing this the most, and the reason why we do this is the producers even pointed out the differences between after Colors. Like, oh, we're gonna have a more comedic approach. That's very, very clearly visible in the different games. The action is a lot lacking in like the action that the games before Colors. It's very noticeable, is what I'm trying to say basically.
The thing is, I mean, a lot of people liked Colors, and it's not apparent. I mean, JonTron liked it. I just had a call with like Kobe and all these people, and they were telling me why they liked Sonic Colors. And I mean, a lot of people do like it. It's just that, I don't know, people look at Sonic Colors and then people look at Lost World, which basically does the same thing in terms of, let's say, story, and they'll pick Colors over Lost World.
See, that's the crazy part.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same basis, and why is Colors getting this treatment, but yet Lost World's off the hook? I mean,
well, their gameplay is completely different.
That's true. Lost World.
I'm just talking about the story. I'm not talking about gameplay.
Oh,
story-wise, yeah, it's written by literally the same people, Pontac and Graf. The stories are almost the exact same content, exact same characterization, except Lost World is a little bit more rushed.
Yeah, see, Lost World, I always felt there are things missing from the story of Lost World. Like, what the heck is the
that's Generations, dude. Generations, you can so
okay,
tell.
Generations, there we go.
Generations had so many missing things.
I think I can kind of explain the main reason why. Like, okay, with Colors, you've got the story. It's about Sonic must free the Wisps from Eggman's evil carnival. What's the game? Sonic must free the Wisps from Eggman's evil carnival. Sonic Generations, what is it? Sonic has to go through all his old games to save his friends. What's the gameplay? Sonic has to go through all his old games to save his friends. Sonic Lost World, what's the story? Sonic goes to planet Zeddy to stop Eggman from sucking away the Earth. What's the gameplay? Sonic runs around on planet Zeddy and uses wisps that appear nowhere in the story whatsoever. That's the kind of disconnect.
That's the mind blow.
The future and what Sega is going to do story-wise, what do you get off, like, with critics? Is it easier to get a positive review with a lackluster story, or with, like, a really long story that they can nitpick and degrade points for?
See, that is a big debate.
Way easier. Like, it's a big debate, but it's way easier to make us like a stupid story.
I mean, no,
than, like an all-out story.
Like, think of the order and all that stuff. Like, how people were complaining, oh, the story is so long, it's so dramatic, and all that stuff. So you got Sega thinking, oh, do we want to do the long, action-y stories that are just, very cinematic, or else people will complain, oh, the cutscenes are too long and all that good stuff.
But they're remembered. They are remembered, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, nobody's going to remember Colors or Lost World in a couple of years, and I can guarantee that. I mean, they might remember Colors for, like, its gameplay, but are they going to remember, like, its story? No, not really. They're not going to remember. The only thing they're going to remember from Colors is Interstellar Amusement Park, Wisps, Eggman, Final Boss, and then it's over. I mean, there's not really a lot of things to the Sonic Colors
especially
story.
Lost World, where the final boss is the same.
Exactly. And then Lost World. I mean, you'll remember the Zeddy. You'll remember Planet whatever. I even forgot
Planet
the
whatever.
name. See?
There we go.
The colors. The problem with Colors is that Sega themselves are making Colors not memorable, because I think in every game after, they're going to keep putting Wisp, and that was Sonic Colors.
It's like...
So, what do you have to remember from Sonic Colors? It has the Unleashed gameplay, it has the Wisps. It's like every game is going to do that now, so like, what's there to remember from Colors?
It would be like if every Super Mario Brothers game, because Super Mario Brothers 3 was the one that really made the franchise big after a little bit of downtime, just recycled the raccoon power-up over and over. Oh, there you go.
But can you guys remember, like, to end my statement, can you guys remember basically everything from Sonic Adventure 2?
Yeah. Definitely.
Exactly.
Everyone I know, all of my friends can remember every single line from that game.
Exactly.
I'm not kidding.
But can you remember Sonic Lost World?
No.
Not at all.
No.
Other than that random cutscene where Tails like spazzed out on Sonic for no reason.
I mean, it was kind of cool how Tails became a robot, but that's all I remember.
I mean, it's like, are they gonna bring back robotization? Is Tails gonna fight Sonic? No.
No, he's just gonna shoot this.
And again, this is another one of those story gameplay disconnects I'm talking about. When you saw Tails is this evil robot, he's about to shoot you, weren't you thinking the first time, oh shit, here comes a really cool boss battle? And then...
No.
There it goes.
I knew it was the story, because I think Colors did like the same thing with like Evil
Yeah,
Tails,
but okay, let me put it this
something.
way. Evil Tails Mind Control was a cutscene, and it lasted for like 3 seconds, right? The thing where Tails is going to be roboticized was in cutscenes before it, and it's like drawn out over a long period of time. They give it some drama, but
heck, this was kind of teased in Colors too.
Yeah, but I mean, I think I remember from like one of the Lost World cutscenes when they were about to roboticize Tails, he like used his tails to like change some settings.
Yeah, because that's how he snapped out.
And then he said that stupid phrase from the beginning of the game, and then that's it.
Yeah, at the same time, okay, even if you weren't thinking it, don't you wish you were thinking that when you're about to fight Robot Tails?
I would have liked to fight Tails. That would have been cool. I like rival battles. I like those.
It would add something to the game. The game is like 2 minutes
Yeah,
long.
you would remember that more. I mean, you don't have an epic clash between Sonic's best friend. You would remember that.
Uh-huh.
I seriously believe...
You would remember that.
I seriously believe Lost World is the only game I beat in like a day. Like 1 day.
I beat it in like 2 days. I had to take a break.
Yeah, it's completely crazy. I just played through it, and it's like, man, but we're not here to talk about the game. So as far as like story and like putting it into a movie, I don't know what they're going to do. It's PG-13. It could always be very action heavy, which I would like, with like some kind of wit to it, like sort of like the early 2000s era of that nature.
See, when you think about it,
I just don't want something stupid. I mean, it's your one shot to put Sonic on the big screen. Don't screw it up. Like, don't
like, fire.
See, when you think about why we get on the Colors era and the different things about it, because some people point out that we do that a lot. There's a specific reason we look for it from Colors and then, because more of Sonic, I feel, was lost as Colors in the games progressed. Like, think about it. He lost the story elements that he used to have. He lost pretty much the characterization just died by like generations.
There's no character development. There's absolutely none character development.
Especially by generations where like it just died.
I do not see any character development. They're the same characters from Colors to Lost World.
Exactly.
Pretty much. At least with the adventure games, you see throughout, like from Adventure 1 to Adventure 2. Adventure 1, they're really static. There's not a lot of movement going on with the characters because it's like early Dreamcast, so they're kind of just standing around.
They can't really build much from it.
In Adventure 2, they have like tension. You can like hear in their voices that, like when Sonic and Knuckles are talking to each other, there's like some kind of sarcasm going on, but they're like still friends. You get that idea. Tails is definitely more. He carried over from SA1 that he's confident now, so he's definitely he rescues Sonic from prison. In SA1, he was like super scared of everything. And so, it's definitely that development, so yeah.
Yeah, the idea we focus on is the cinematics. That's what we're focusing on. Like, a lot of people think that, we just want literally copy and paste the adventure games. That's it. No, I'm not gonna like disacknowledge the flaws of the adventure games, which is mainly the gameplay.
The gameplay
and the age.
The audio mixing in SA2 and some of the horrible voice direction in SA1, admittedly.
Yeah,
the games are fine enough. I think people just kind of nitpick them because they're old now. That's just my opinion.
I mean, they do that for every old game.
Yeah, I mean,
they do that for Mario 64. They do that for Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask. They do that for basically every game.
Yeah.
It's just cool to do nowadays, I guess, to make you seem more intelligent.
It's a very popular... Everything you love is wrong has become a very popular topic on the internet.
Yes.
I mean, since joining the internet, I never got the hate for the early games. It's like, they're fine games, they're fine games, why are you doing that? Like, coming up with weird excuses.
And not to mention, the only problem I have is they can easily just go through the mistakes. I mean, it's not like... Because 06 tried to do this, but you can't... But, of course, it didn't even come close to doing it. It made it worse.
My thing is, like, every Sonic game has problems. Not every Sonic game is perfect. This isn't a perfect series.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Even 3 and Knuckles, I think some of the levels were god-awful. I think because
difficulty spike with the classic games.
Okay.
It's Carnival Night. I think that's a terrible stage. I think Sandopolis is pretty long and stupid. But like that's my
Raise of
opinion.
hands.
And I just don't think every Sonic game is perfect. Not any of them. So it's just some are better than others.
But is any game perfect? No games are absolutely 100%
I'd
perfect.
actually like to say something here. It's the fact that there's no perfect Sonic game that's what makes it Sonic. We expect things to be a little bit weird. We expect things to be a little bit strange and unwieldy. That's what makes the series memorable. Whether it's in the story.
Yeah, and we don't want like pure perfection.
Yeah.
We just want elements in a more, different way. Like in the direction we're heading. See, the problem right now is no one knows where the series is going. You cannot tell. You really can't.
That's with every game. Like, that's every Sonic game,
Pretty
honestly,
much.
from my perspective. I've never expected any of these.
And honestly, that's sort of Sega too. I mean, if you look even in their games from the 1990s, take like Afterburner. That's a series that they couldn't figure out so bad. It had like 6 different names for the exact same games in that series. And it was like Afterburner, G-Lock, and all kinds of other crazy stuff. Afterburner 3 was actually Afterburner... Afterburner 3 wasn't Afterburner at all. So, Sega's always had a hard time with keeping their series consistent.
You know what?
It's just sad with Sonic because it's the only series that really sells over here. So they have to like put them in every single genre, just like they do Mario.
Yeah, because
just like Mario
it
does.
doesn't sell in Japan. It does not. Let's be real here. It does not sell in Japan. I've never heard a Sonic game in general even doing well in Japan. I mean, they might have done well, but not like exceptional.
Okay.
Like super, like US
Let me put it this
sales.
way. This is something I've learned as a collector and something that I still can barely believe. Finding an actual cartridge of Sonic and Knuckles in Japan, it is rare. It is actually legitimately hard to find now. So that should say about how well even the classic game sold then.
Yeah.
I mean, here's my thing. I remember when, they took a cartoon blue hedgehog that runs fast and has red sneakers and turned him into something badass. Turned it into something that we remember. Even to this day, we wouldn't be talking about it if it ended up, let's say, like Bubsy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be talking about it right now if he
And
was.
people are
like that.
scared to admit that nowadays. It's really sad. That's what the thing is. People just want to hate on, like, criticize every little thing, and they forget. Wait, there's a reason I talk about Sonic.
There's
in
a
the first
reason
And we're
that I
not
grew to
trying.
love this character.
Yeah, we're not trying to take that away. See, like for our group, for example, a lot of the criticism we get is a lot of people think that we're trying to promote the idea that in the direction the series is, he's dead. Heck no! If he was dead, he would not be here to this day. I mean, he's still kicking.
Oh.
Clearly, there's a reason he's alive.
There's enough
Yeah.
love for games that did do what everyone loved that he's still going.
I mean, yeah, he would be like Bubsy.
Yeah,
as I
he'd be
said
like
before.
Bubsy.
I mean, he wouldn't have any more games.
Not any more games. At least not, official. There was the Bubsy at the museum game. That was just an...
Oh, that one was fun.
That one was something.
The
Don't worry, you guys
Applebee's.
can-
Applebee's, yeah.
Yeah,
That was an art house troll game, though.
yeah. Don't worry.
I mean, Sonic's just like any other legend. I think he's like, as far as like the big four, like the Smash Brothers third-party characters, I think Sonic is definitely like that second place. Like he's still holding on, but like he just gets weird. Like he's weird with critics because critics just hate Sonic. His fans really hate him.
I mean,
They
like when
don't
you think
they do
about it,
anything.
compare it to like Pac-Man. I mean, Pac-Man is just a national icon. No one remembers a single one of his games other than like the freaking first. I mean, unless you're like a diehard Pac-Man fan. He's an icon.
People know
Pac-Man
Sonic.
just had the royalty of being like really
In terms of the
early on.
critics, I
That's
think
the only
Sonic's
reason.
hate by critics is really easy to explain, and most of it isn't even about the quality of his recent games. It's the fact that most professional game critics nowadays are probably of the age that they grew up with a NES or even a Super Nintendo. And
It's just
Yeah.
Sonic is he's too different, and like it's so easy to hate him because he doesn't follow the rules. He does whatever he wants. The adventure games, there were no other games like that. Like there were no other cartoon
That
like
acted like an
series
action
where
game.
they took like all. Yeah, that like had stories like that, and that's why they're so hated by
But
critics.
that's why.
and all
But
that.
that's why they were so loved back in the
Of
day.
course.
Because
Yeah,
it was
I think
a
they're
it's
really
the fact
good.
that
It's
now
it's more the fact that these critics who were sort of embarrassed that Mario can't do all these cool things. Yoshi isn't going to jump out of a helicopter using a piece of metal and go absolutely crazy with it. And now seeing how some of the Sonic games newer can be compared bad, they can sort of look back and reassure themselves, yeah, I made the right choice getting a Super Nintendo because Mario's still good and Sonic is bad now. I win. They look at it as...
It's just a weird type of
when you compare
now,
those two. I mean, you could
Sonic for being
you could have like fight night rounds with like how long you want to compare Mario and Sonic, but you really can't.
You can't.
You really can't.
You really can't.
I mean, Sonic Lost World kind of copied Mario, so that's
Super Sonic Extreme Galaxy.
When I think Mario,
honestly, I think
I said this in the
Sonic
last
Lost
Sonic
World
chats, but when I think Sonic and Mario, I think Lost World and I think All Stars Racing.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's
Yeah.
Mario
I mean,
Kart,
at least
man.
All Stars Racing is pretty radically different
Yeah,
from
it
Mario
is.
Kart.
It really is. It really is.
I
Especially
think,
Transport.
what was I
Exactly.
gonna say? In terms of Lost World, I see that sort of as like the Princess and the Cobbler, or whatever that was called. The movie that was the start of the inspiration for Disney's Aladdin, and then stole from Disney's Aladdin when it actually came out years later. Started out as Sonic Extreme, then Mario Galaxy was inspired by it. Then Sonic Lost World was inspired by Mario Galaxy. So
I don't think Sonic Extreme had
Really,
anything
no,
to do
I
with
don't think
anything.
so.
That was just a scrap.
I mean, when you think about it,
That
Galaxy
game
is
was
its own
god-awful,
thing. I don't
not
mess with
god-awful.
that. But like, the idea here is that crap. The idea here is that when you think about it, it's that crap. You know what? Go continue. I freaking forgot.
Sonic is remembered. Well, the reason Sonic is alive now, let's say that, is because, number one, the fan base keeps him alive. Sonic wouldn't be alive these days without a fan base that he has. I mean, we're hundreds of thousands strong, and it's a pretty big dang fan base, so... And people remember and are in that fan base because they remember Sonic, they remember how cool he is, and they want to have that sort of experience again, and they're waiting for Sega to give them that experience, but it's not happening.
One problem I have is that I don't think Sonic mixes with Mario's ways. Like, think about like the Mario and Sonic Olympic games. You know these characters that are used to doing all sorts of action. You see like Sonic in them next to the happy-go-lucky Mario characters who are like always smiling, and it's just different.
Thing is, it's too late for Sonic to try to be
Exactly.
Mario now. He's already established that all these characters that he brought in, like Silver and Shadow, they can't work like that. Like,
I know.
he's already established
You see
himself
Shadow in the
with this
Olympic
lane,
games,
so
and
it's
you can't
weird, know?
picture that seriously.
Yeah, like, the only way you can do it is to reboot the series, and they did it with Boom, and it's, like, not the same, so what do we do from here? That's why I think in the future they should just... I don't know what they should do. It's a weird situation with Sonic, where he's already established himself as something completely different from any other video game character, and now he's trying to, like, bite off other series, like, as we said, Mario, and that didn't work, so what the heck do you do
I'd
from
say
here?
do
It's
what actually worked in the first place. Make him different, even if you have to, find new people.
And to make him different, I think the idea is just focus on the original idea, which is a cartoony-looking series that actually tries to like be something serious. Like, think like the cartooniness trying to be very actiony. That's the thing that made Sonic unique, I feel. Even dating back to like the classics, because like Sonic being for kids is a bunch of bull to me. I mean, the first game, even think of Genesis Does. It clearly said
they always had it for teenagers. They always put it out for those teenagers. They didn't want it to be kiddie like Mario. They didn't, and that's why they had Sonic have an attitude, so it could appeal to that older audience. So that older audience could be like, "Oh, I'm not like a kid like you," and that's why I have a Genesis. That's why I have a Mega Drive.
I just find it funny that the creators of Sonic intended him to be like really edgy. Like, he had fangs, and he had like a girlfriend in this concept. So like whenever America like redesigned him, they said he looked way too cute and everything, and it's just funny. Like, and I agree. I think he's for everyone. I don't think he's for kids. If you look at like Power Rangers or like any other like action cartoon series or whatever, they're made for kids, but like they're more for everyone. Like, there's action, it takes itself serious, and it's fun to watch. I always got that impression.
And at the same time, the reason
my
why Sonic was aimed for everyone and for teens and for all that is because Sega desperately needed some way to break in and say, we are the Genesis, we are different. It's like how the NES, when it was trying to compete with a bunch of computers, and all the parents would say, well, this console can't do our taxes, so we don't want it. It didn't advertise it by saying, we have good gameplay. It said, we have a robot. And yeah, the robot was lame, but we have a robot! And so parents said, oh my god, it has a robot! And bought it. And then it actually was allowed to do what it wanted to do. Sonic's coolness is what gets people to buy it, so it's allowed to do what
Sonic had to be different from Mario. I mean, if Sonic acted like Mario, you got two consoles with, like, the same concept, so...
You're gonna pick Nintendo because they're already established.
But you have Sonic with a different concept, so...
The thing about the Genesis is that the Genesis was always marketed to be like the edgier console anyway. Like, if you look at Streets of Rage, all these dark games, like, even Castlevania, I think one game... Like, the NES version, Bloodlines, I think was, like, really, like
the Mortal Kombat, where the fatalities would be brutal on the Genesis, and then lighter on the,
If you want to talk about Genesis versus, like, Super Nintendo, the absolute easiest way to compare them, not Mortal Kombat, because that was just the difference of blood, that's like saying, oh, Genesis was darker. No, I'm talking about entire games that were designed differently, which is Super Castlevania 4 versus Bloodlines, and especially Contra 3 versus Hardcore. Holy shit. Okay, if you think Gunstar Heroes is action-packed and intense, Contra Hardcore is about 5 times as much, and it's because of the fact that Genesis toted insane speed, shit flying everywhere, oh my god! That's what Genesis games were designed around, that's what Sonic was designed around. Sonic was designed as a perfect companion for the hardware, and it continued on like that throughout the Dreamcast, and, well, it really hasn't since Sega stopped making hardware.
Pretty much.
You know what? I think modern Sonic can work if they just... I don't know. I think the current voice actors can work if they weren't. The only problem I have with the voice actors these days is they're so one tone, and it might be because of the voice direction. I feel like it can work. I feel like if they changed a story to, like, have it be rememberable, like Adventure or
at this
Unleashed
point,
or something
I think
like
what
that.
Sonic needs to do, and this is my ideal, is that he basically could split into the two different eras. Like, have a direction that wants to go for what Sonic was and continue the modern era and see how both eras go side by side.
It's like when Mega Man broke up into X and 7.
Have modern Sonic and then have Sonic Boom. It's easy. You're done. I mean, Sonic Boom can be that comedy side. Modern Sonic can be that rememberable side. I mean, then you have the best of both worlds. You're done. And then... yeah, I mean, you don't have to make two things the exact same thing because...
Oh, and no more experimentation. Definitely none of that.
Yeah.
You know what? People still think that Rise of Lyric is part of modern Sonic. You know why? Because modern Sonic and Sonic Boom are so similar these days that you can't even
Especially
tell.
people who try to say, like, oh, they're different spin-offs. You know, they don't even, like, are not even in the same timeline. Yet, the way the voice portrayal makes it, it feels like it's still in the colors. The timeline.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think ultimately the problem that in terms of voice and the voice direction, I think that it would be possible for the current voice actors to do something else. I feel it will be hard. I mean, even like Mike Pollock, he's been Eggman I'm pretty sure he's held the role of Eggman for longer than anyone has held an official role for any other Sonic character.
Yeah, after Dean passed away.
He was Eggman, and he is still Eggman. And Mike Pollock has done serious acting before. He's done corny acting before. And I think he could do it again. It would just be very hard for him to readjust the character, especially when he's grown to like it so much. I mean,
and then we got Roger, who's been in these comedy games, and he's been stuck in these comedy games. If he was to do serious, it would be completely different for, like, these voice
Honestly,
actors.
I think part of it, too, and this is something I don't see brought up too often, a lot of what makes Roger's Sonic seem so half-hearted is probably how much Sega is paying him. I mean, remember, the reason we didn't get Ryan Drummond back is because Sega were trying to cheat him.
It's because they weren't going to pay him for generations. They weren't going to pay him. It was so silly.
It was ridiculous.
And Ryan's been tried to come back a few times throughout Sonic's line. He's been trying to come back since he was left.
So part of it would have to be Sega realizing Sonic is an important enough franchise that we should invest money into this to make it good again.
Sega has put themselves into a situation that if Sonic is dead, then, I mean, they'll still do good in, like, arcade games.
I mean, with Miku and all that good stuff.
Yeah, Hatsune Miku.
But I'm pretty sure, besides Miku, their gaming department, like, them making, like, games for consoles and PC, that would be completely...
Oh, yeah.
It would be, absolutely.
Sonic has been carrying Sega for a while, actually, when you think about it.
In the gaming world.
Not in Japan.
Not at all.
Japan is amazingly wealthy.
Yeah, no, they're being carried by pachinko machines there for sure.
arcade games, pachinko. I mean, you got all this stuff in Japan. Did I say it right?
Pachinko?
Yeah, pachinko.
Pachinko. Yeah. I think I said pachinko. I don't even know. Pachinko. I'm sorry.
No, don't worry about it.
Pachinko. But I mean, arcade games are Sega's forte in Japan. In America, Sonic? I mean, you don't really have anything else besides Sonic in America and the UK or Europe, or Sega of Europe and Sega of America. I mean, without Sonic, one thing I'm actually sort of curious about too with Sonic, and I know this almost never gets brought up. Have any of you played M2's Sega 3D Classics for the 3DS? I actually just did a video on that.
Okay.
No, I didn't.
I've found that a lot of them, especially the most recent one, Fantasy Zone 2, they have this extreme appreciation for making the game work really well. They add new modes that still fit in. It feels like they really have the soul of Sega's arcade era. I don't want that to be the only team that makes Sonic games, but why haven't we let M2 try to make a Sonic game yet, Even like a little side spin-off one like Sonic the Fighters or Sega Sonic. It would be a nice little way to make some money without investing way too much into, a side game.
Like,
and
the money gave them the boom. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I know we got Runners and we got Jump, but those are freemium games. I'm talking about, make a game that doesn't cost too much to make, that you don't have to keep on maintaining and updating because it's an arcade-style game. You're ultimately going to save a lot of money expenditure and possibly make more.
I mean, I think we went off the topic of the movie, but we basically said what we want the movie to be. We want the movie to be rememberable. We want it to have that same feeling as before with Sonic Adventure up until, I guess, Sonic Unleashed. Because that's pretty much when the rememberableness, if that's even a word, of Sonic just went down. I mean,
definitely.
Basically, in 10 years, are people really going to remember Colors and Lost World for their stories? No, I mean, Colors is a popular game, don't get me wrong. People like Colors, but one thing that isn't praised is its story. A lot. I mean, I know people like the story, but is it this is the sole reason why this game is great?
Nah.
Nobody says that.
And Lost World, I mean, I can't really say anything about that.
No, part of me thinks Lost World should have been Colors too. I actually almost thought it was, basically.
Yeah, but it didn't explain. I mean, the thing was, it went a Sonic Boom episode style, where it didn't say anything about the past game. It just went way into the new game without even telling us, one, why the Wisps were there, B, what even is this planet, or C, who are the Deadly Six?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty random with it.
Yeah. It felt like a cartoon episode where in the middle of Boom.
We want it to be developed well, we want it to be memorable, and I don't think we want the writing to be Citizen Kane, but we want it to try.
We want it to be... what's a good video game? I guess Wreck-It Ralph is really rememberable.
Wreck-It Ralph is a video game movie that something really important didn't care as much about it being a video game. Video game stuff was used as plot devices, but it wasn't used as the plot.
It was pretty much based in Sugar Rush.
Yeah, it was based in Sugar Rush.
The whole movie was based in Sugar Rush.
And it was more telling a story than telling video games fan service.
Yeah, I take that back.
Which is what we all thought it was going to be, video game fan service, the movie. Let's not lie, most of us went to see that for Sonic.
Yes, we did.
We saw that in the ending where Wreck-It Ralph was in Sonic's world, and then he was
Chemical plant.
Exactly.
I don't want to see, Sonic Adventure 2, the movie, like Sonic X was just,
pretty much an adaptation of some Sonic games. It did Adventure 2, and then Battle.
And especially if there's a game out of this, I mean, which there most likely will be, there's a game for every single movie out there that is video games, and we all know the Wreck-It Ralph video game about video games.
Yeah, video game movies have bad reputations.
And this, so we don't want it to be a fan service movie entirely. We want it to not be afraid to tell a good story because we want it to be memorable and not for bad reasons.
And Vaughn pretty much seems like he knows kind of what he's doing. I mean, he studied a lot of Sonic games, which I have to commend. I don't think a lot of people do that. I mean, they'll go in and they'll say, "Oh, I remember this from this movie."
The prime example I think of is the Mario movie, where they literally knew nothing. They admitted that they never played one single Mario game, and that's why the plot was all over the place. The main princess is Daisy, and what the heck happened?
At the same time,
Yeah, and
I'm
then-
really glad that Sega hasn't been in complete command of this, because I believe it was when there's an interview with Pontek and Graf, they admitted that Sega specifically told them not to research the series since they were going for such a different direction. Since Vaughn's been able to research the series, it's clear Sega actually wants him to write a script that is about the series.
He streamed the games on his Twitch. He showed people that he researched the games. He was researching them in front of their faces. I mean, if that is a dedication to a story and what you want to do with a movie, then I don't know what is. I feel like the writers of this movie are very dedicated to bring us something that we will remember. And that's why I've been excited for this movie, not only because Marza's animating it. I mean, I love Marza, and I think their stuff is great. I mean, they made the openings for Sonic Lost World, and even though, you know, it doesn't have the most memorable story, everyone can remember that beautiful cutscene in the beginning. I mean, you got the Sonic Colors opening, you got Sonic Free
Did they
Riders
do the
opening,
Unleash opening?
Yeah, did they do Unleashed?
Oh, there
they
we go.
did the
Oh
Unleashed
my God,
opening.
there you
they
go.
did the Unleashed opening.
That is
They
beautiful.
basically did every single opening for a Sonic game that's 3D. They did, okay, then we go down the list. Sonic Lost World, Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transform, Sonic Colors, Sonic Unleashed, Night of the Werehog.
Hands down, the Unleashed,
What
hands
they
down,
do.
the Unleashed opening is one of my favorite openings. Just because,
Oh,
like, you
definitely.
just have Egg. It like, while it has like not much plot in the beginning, at the same time, the way it just jumps into the action.
If the movie's like that,
And at the same time,
it's over. I'm paying all my money.
it's not a fan service opening, obviously, but you've got those little hidden things that show the developers and the animators cared, like Eggman having a Sega Dreamcast on
Yeah.
the side.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
they also
yeah,
did the
stuff like that.
Miku
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, if you've seen the Miku openings, they've done that. So I'm really excited for that. Again, live action, we've already said it. We don't have to go over that more. And, I mean, we basically talked about the story in Sonic and what we want it to be memorable. And I guess I'll call it, in the title, you know, the Sonic movie and the Sonic story, just so we can, like, kind of
Group it all together.
talk
Yeah.
about those two things. Yeah. Kind of like the last Sonic Chats where we just went all over the place, but it all
Yeah.
came
All over the
together.
place.
But it
It
came
all
together.
came
I don't think
together
there's
in the
nothing
end.
wrong with
I
that.
expected it to happen though.
Yeah.
I think it's the same thing as episode 1. It came together in the end, and that's what's really cool
Yeah.
about this series, in my opinion. But I mean, it's been an hour. I think we're basically done. Don't
Pretty
you guys
much.
think?
I'm
think
okay
yeah,
with
I
stopping
think,
now.
I
I mean,
think about so.
audio
I think
on
we
my
talked
end might
about
be a
it.
little screwed up, so I hope you don't have any problems editing that.
Audio on my
I'll
end
try my
might be... I have to hold my mic in my hands.
It's all good, but anyways, go ahead and check out the Sonic Adventure 3 Facebook page. There's where these guys are from, the TrueSonicSpirit channel. Check out Sonic Paradox, where RecorderDude is, and check out Knux333. And don't you have a YouTube channel as well, Recorder?
Yeah, I have RecorderDude on YouTube. I mostly post random songs and occasionally animation there. Right now, it's just reposts from like Tumblr stuff, but I hope to do more original stuff in the future. But if you're looking for really the stuff I do, it's on Sonic Paradox, or whenever we start a new channel, because Sonic Paradox was hacked. It's still hacked.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys.
It'll get
I'm sorry
through.
for
It'll get through.
Yeah, that stinks. I was talking to Donnie about that, and
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty sad. But
Yeah,
Knux,
I got
anything
pretty much
you
a
wanna say?
Facebook, a Twitter, and then my main YouTube. My main YouTube is completely different from TrueSonicSpirit. Like, it's not even the same quality. That's how different it is, but you can link it if you want. Just check that out.
Definitely. I mean, you were in this
Yeah.
video, so of course we're crediting.
I'd hope so.
I mean, because I have no confidence in myself.
Nah, we love you, dude. You were great. You were great in this
Thanks.
video. You both were great. Thank you so much. And of course, check out our co-host, StephenKnux. You know what he
As
does.
always.
You know what he does. And check out me as well. I mean, you're on my channel, so please. But anyways, thank you for watching. Hopefully, you know, this gets out to the right people. And if you enjoyed this episode or, you know, podcast or whatever of Sonic Chats, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to all the channels here. And we'll see you all next time. Have a fantastic rest of your week.